Hello and welcome to the channel where we talk about all things card games and chill with friends. My name is Liam and today I'm going to tell you the top 10 cards that you need for the English release of Hololive OCG. Now, if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links in the description, and please consider joining and becoming a member by hitting that join button down below. But let's jump straight in. So with the English release of Hololive OCG just around the corner, I wanted to make sure that I shared with you the top 10 cards that I think that every player needs for their collection for their decks. And I'm interested to see if you agree with my order from 10th to 1st, and also if there's any cards that you think I've missed. Let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Now with this list, I'm basically looking at cards that can be used in multiple decks where possible, or potentially themes of cards that you might need specifically for certain decks. And jumping in at number 10, we have Sub PC. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal one limited support card among them, and add it to your hand and return the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. This card is a fantastic, what I like to call deck filler, where you may not have enough definite cards in your deck which to fill the 50 cards, and this card is a really great card to ensure that you see your limited more consistently, which basically enable you to proceed in the game with a lot more speed and tempo. And not only that as well, it is a generic card that lets you grab any limited, so this can easily go in any deck. It is available as part of the start deck for Soraz, so I recommend you definitely grabbing one of those up if you are getting into the game. Moving on to number 9, another start deck card, Amazing PC. It is a limited support, which you can only use if you archive one cheer from your stage and you reveal one first or second holomem that are not a buzz holomem and add it to your hand and then shuffle your deck. This card is, I put this at 9 because there are certain decks where this card is extremely useful to ensure that you see your important first or second blooms. More importantly, the second blooms, because there are usually other ways of finding your first bloom holomems. For example, looking at decks like Suisei, looking at Pekora, looking at the likes of Promise even. This deck card goes quite well in. So there are definitely ways in which Amazing PC is extremely beneficial to ensure that you see your second blooms when you need it. Most decks, if they do run this card, maybe run it as a 1 or 2x, or 1 or 2 copies in a deck, so you don't need to have a whole playset, but it is a card worth having multiple copies of to put into multiple decks down the line if you are one of those people like me that likes to not have to swap out cards in their deck. It's a curse. Moving on to number 8, we have the Gravity events, but more specifically Idle Microphone. It is a limited support card, which you can use this card if you have 6 or less cards in your hand, excluding this card, and then you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal any number of holomem with the Seeing tag among those, and add those revealed holomem to your hand, and then return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. This is a really great card for increasing your hand, and the reason why I specifically pick out Idle Microphone is because for set 1, it is probably the most generic of the lot. Now, we do see that there are ones that look at other tags such as ID Gen 3 or Promise, for example, and those are still pretty good cards to have. But this one with the Singing tag can hit a whole number of holomems, Sora, Azuki, Muna, Suisei, just to name a few. And later on down the set, the Singing tag is quite a common tag. So in later sets, set 2, set 3, set 4, you will find use for the Idle Microphone more than most other Gravity event cards. And we call them Gravity event cards because of First Gravity, which was the first one we saw of its type when it was revealed in Japanese, which is specifically for Sora or Azuki. So ironically, if you are running a Soraz deck, you can 100% use Idle Microphone and First Gravity in combination to run more than 4 copies of basically the same card. So it's a really neat card to have. It's the one that I strongly recommend. And of the Gravity events, the Idle Microphone is probably the most important. Number 7, this is actually a collection of cards that I like to call the cheer ramp cards. These are cards in set 1 which basically enables you to ramp your cheer, i.e. basically add more cheer to your holomems on your stage, more than the 1 per turn from your cheer step. For example, we have the Muna first bloom, we also have the Pekora first bloom, and we also have the ASCII collab debut from the start deck. And the reason why these cards are so important for set 1 specifically is that these are the only cards that do that, and it's the only cards that really help increase your tempo, especially with cheer management throughout the game. So these are cards that you can run them in basically any deck, providing that it works. So obviously with Muna, for example, it can only grab green or blue cheer, so you can only really use it with decks that run those cheers. But the Pekora basically allows you to attach the top card of your cheer deck to either your center or collab, regardless of type, regardless of tags, regardless of color of cheer. So Pekora is probably the best generic one to run, and the ASCII as well. On a collab effect, you get to roll a die, and if you roll a 4 or lower, you get to put the top card of your cheer deck to one of your back holomem, and then if you happen to roll a 1, you actually get to be able to move that ASCII back to the backstage, so it protects itself in a way as well, which is kind of neat. So out of the 3, I'd probably say the Pekora is probably the most generic for set 1, and we do get other ones down the line. We get much more generic one in set 2, looking at the Chloe first bloom. But for set 1, these cards are a must if you want to improve the rate of your cheer generation throughout the game. Coming in at number 6, we have another group of cards that I call the unlimited debuts. Now these are debut holomems that have the extra rule that you can run as many copies of this card in your deck. So normally you are restricted to 4 copies of a card, but these unlimited debuts, you can run as many as you like. And the key ones that you really want to be looking out for set 1 are definitely Kanata, Polka, Suisei, Muna, and probably Pekora as well if you are wanting to play the Pekora deck. Basically, for a lot of holomems, this is the only way for go for debut to first, for example. So Polka, for example, does not have another debut holomem for set 1. So if you are looking at running the Polka fan deck, you absolutely need these Polkas, and you probably run between 6 and 8 copies of it in your deck. So if you're able to get your hands on multiple, that's very, very beneficial. They are just commons, but as unlimited cards and cards that every deck will be running in some variety, they will be quite expensive as single cards. So if you are opening packs and you do get your hands on the unlimited debuts, don't just throw them away as generic debuts. They are extremely useful. Moving into our top 5, we have probably the best 1 to 2 copy limited support card in the game, and that is So That Makes You My Enemy. It is on play, swap your opponent's center holomem with 1 back holomem. It's pretty straightforward. But this card can cause so much disruption for your opponent's game state. And also, in some situations, if your opponent has 1 or 2 life left and they have a holomem that you can take down, sometimes just bringing out a lower HP holomem can win you the game. This card is so good. You don't want to overplay it in decks. I think 2 copies is usually the most you would run in most decks. There are some weird decks that might want to run 3, but it is a card that you absolutely want to get your hands on. So yeah, So That Makes You My Enemy is number 5. Next, in number 4, we have Stone Axe. It is probably the best generic damage pusher or damage addition in the game. Even now with set 4 in Japanese, it is probably the best one out there as a generic damage push card. It is a tool support, which you only really run for the first effect, where it gives the holomem this tool is attached to plus 20 to its arts. The downside to that is that when it does use its arts with the tool attached, you deal 10 special damage to itself. Sure, it's kind of the downside for the extra aggro. And the extra effect of where it's equipped to a first or greater Aki Rosenthal, like, it's not the end of the world. You do get an additional draw, which is kind of nice. But so if you are looking at running Aki Rose, you know, fair enough. It's a fantastic card and an instant 4 of in that deck. But it's an instant 3 to 4 of in a lot of decks, especially with just set 1. just to get that extra damage output. And the top 3 cards are all available in the start deck. So if you haven't got yourself any start decks, I would strongly recommend that you get at least 2 copies so that you have a playset of these 3 cards. And coming in at number 3, we have Manager Chan. It is a limited support staff type, which you can only use if you have 1 or more cards in your hand, excluding this card, and you return all the cards in your hand to your deck and shuffle it, and then draw 5 new cards. It is a hand refresh support. It is incredibly good, and in some situations can literally be a +3 if you play this card and then you have 1 other card in your hand. You put that 1 card back and draw 5. So you start before playing it with 2 cards and you go to 5 cards. It's a +3. It's an extremely good card. Or again, there are situations where you might have a hand that is kind of unplayable, and you have this Manager Chan, which allows you to basically refresh your hand and hopefully get something that is a bit more playable. Again, it comes in as a 3 copies in the start deck. You definitely want to get at least 3, if not more. Again, to spread around multiple decks. Every deck in set 1 basically runs at least 2 copies of this card. So if you haven't got a start deck, I strongly recommend you do for this card alone at least. But there is one other card that is super important in the start deck, which at the moment you can only get in it. And that, of course, is the other staff support so far, Harusaki Nodaka, which is simply a draw 3 cards from your deck as a limited support. This is the best draw engine in the game right now. It is just a hard +2 with no condition, no requirement, and basically allows you to really generate your hand at the beginning of the game. So the sooner you can see these cards, the better. It is basically a 4 copy card in every deck. It is absolutely vital. And I was going to put this at number 1, genuinely was. But the card I put at number 1 is a card that I'm sure that people have been like involved in the community recently or throughout however long they've been here. This card is known as the card to have if you're looking to play the Hololive OCG competitively. And that is, of course, at number 1, normal PC. You reveal 1 debut from your deck and you put it to your stage on the backstage, and then you shuffle your deck. It is from Pokemon Nest Ball. This card is absolutely fine. Again, in set 4, basically every deck is running 3 to 4 copies, mostly 4 copies. And this card was so big in Japan that at one point it was a 3,000 yen common. But that was because of the set ratios in the first booster set for Japanese. It is very different for English, where we are guaranteed to get 2 copies of this card in the start deck. And also the actual booster set ratios are a little better in terms of finding the commons that you need. So I do not expect this card to go massively over maybe £5 to £6 a card, if that. So it is going to be much cheaper, but it is an absolutely vital card that you must have 4 copies hanging around somewhere so that you can always put 4 into your main deck. And that is my top 10 cards, or categories of cards. I kind of squeezed the rules a little bit there, that you need for the Hololive OCG English release happening on the 11th of July this week, which I'm very, very excited for. I am going to be doing a live stream opening a sealed case of Blooming Radiance, the first set of the Hololive OCG in English, and it will be streamed on my Twitch and my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, make sure you check that out. And if it's past the date, you can still check that VOD out by checking out my live videos on my YouTube. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this video? Was it informative? And do you agree with my list, or would you change the order of some of the cards? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be very, very interested to hear your thoughts. But again, if you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, those links in the description. And if you would like to, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!